right, folks. I know a lot of you are tired of the offensive tackles. I don't know why. They're fun. Kind of. Anyway, I understand you guys want to see more prospect previews. And to be honest with you, I'm falling behind. So we're going to wrap it up here with the offensive tackles. We're going to have 3 more videos. Then we're going to dive into the edge defenders and cornerbacks. I'm going to try to keep it to the top 10. Not necessarily my top 10, but just 10 in general that I really want to discuss. I will be doing other, of course, draft, scouting and whatnot, but just leaving it to the top 10 or, the top 10 that I pick out. So the next 3 videos on the offensive tackles are going to be Taliese Fuaga, which is today's, Joe Alt, and Olu Fashanu. So those will be the next 3. Then after that, we're diving into the edge, and I'm really excited to talk about that, but it's just taking too long. So let's just do that. We're going to start off here today. Before we dive into this, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. You can follow me at JKBogan on all social media, and you can check out my uncensored, unfiltered Jake Ellenbogen Show podcast, audio only. Link is in the description. Let's dive into this thing. So, Taliese Fuaga, okay? This is my number 1 tackle. I know it's my number 1 tackle because I went through and I watched Joe Alt and I watched Olu Fashanu, and I know I'm pretty much spoiling it. I've watched, obviously, plenty of tackles at this point. I've scouted plenty of them. I'm only doing 10 videos, but Fuaga is my number 1 tackle. I don't care that he might not be able to play left tackle at the next level, even though he's never asked to. It doesn't necessarily mean he can't. But look, I think he's by far one of my favorite tackles that I've ever scouted. Now, I'm going to say the same thing about Alt, and I really like Fashanu as well. But let me just say this. Fuaga, 2-year starter at Oregon State, did not give up a sack in 657 pass protection snaps. So that's really good, obviously. He's the best run blocker in the draft. I mean, he's so dominant in that area of his game. He wants to absolutely kill you. He wants to kill you after you get up. He wants to kill you again. That's just the way he is. He is a killer. He has a great second level awareness. He takes great angles and is able to spring the ball carrier because of it. I noticed this. This stands out clear as day on film. I think when you watch somebody like Fuaga, he just gets it, right? He knows where to be in accordance to the player, him, and the field. He is just so fun to watch. Very, very aware of his surroundings, really intelligent, and he does take great angles. When you're getting up to the second level, what you'll see a lot of college, not going to be NFL starters do, is a lot of college players will get to the second level and flail their arms and just kind of, put in an effort, but it's not really conducive to winning football or even winning your matchup. And with Fuaga, he makes the most of getting to the second level. We talk about getting to the second level. Now you're facing, potentially safeties, you're facing corners. And, at that point you have the advantage. You're, full steam ahead, and you are essentially a bull in a china shop, but you also have to have some grace, the way you move your feet and everything. And he does that extremely well. He's got a nastiness to his game. He's got this mean streak I absolutely love, sets the tone. I feel like I've overused this, but he really looks like he's trying to bury you 6 feet under, which I do love. He's got an NFL ready body at 6'5", 332 pounds. He's got great footwork. Allows him to recover nicely in pass protection. His hands are like sledgehammers. All right. This guy has heavy hands, man. When he hits you, you go flying. I've seen it on film plenty of times to let you know he's got some of the best offensive line film you will ever watch. You can really just see him tossing guys, I'll just say out of the club, if you know what I mean, as a bouncer. Just left and right. He's got this short area burst that he gets out in space, and it's just elite, man. He's got this rare athleticism to him, and he's going to flash that at least once every snap. So you got to love that about him. Very consistent football player all around. What you see is really what you get, snap in and snap out. Extremely high ceiling, but I think it's an extremely high floor. I mean, this guy's going to come in and, he's going to clean house, and he's going to be a day one starter. And if it's at right tackle, it's at right tackle. I still believe he could play left. I don't know if he will, but I still think he could if push came to shove. I think he's the best in the class. I mean, I've said that. And I think the scariest thing about him is he's nowhere near as good in pass protection as he is in the run game, and he's still wicked good in pass protection. I mean, like I said, he didn't give up a sack. So what are his weaknesses, Jake? Just let me know. Give it to me straight. What do I have to worry about when it comes to him? Well, he's got a tendency to over-pursue in pass protection. What I mean by that is sometimes he wants to, get those guys at the top of their rush and make the first move, throw the first punch, if you will, and it leads to him losing, right? So that's something to keep in mind. 8 penalties this past year, probably from being a little too aggressive. I mean, I watched quite a few games. I didn't see too many penalties in those games, but he still got 8 of them, so it doesn't change the fact. His over-aggression can lead to personal fouls in the NFL. That is something to be said, okay? We're talking late in the game. He gets a little peeved. Guy, taunts or whatever, shoves him after the play, 15-yard penalty, costs your team, instead of a 3rd and short, now it's a guaranteed first down. That's the thing I'm a little concerned about. And again, he only played right tackle, so he might not be able to make the switch to left tackle the teams might need him to make. So, what are my final thoughts on Fuaga before I get into the grading? And after that, does he make sense for the Rams, and could he be a Ram? We'll talk about that. Fuaga is one of the best tackles in the draft, by far, my favorite, my number 1 tackle, and one of the best tackles that I've ever scouted. The biggest concern for me is if you need him to move to left tackle, it might be a bit of an ask considering he's never played that. Now, I think he could, but it's not as simple as made out to be. He really, I'm not a big player comparison guy. I was early on when I was younger, but now I feel like player comparisons, I don't put out a comparison unless I believe in the comparison, and it's not something I think about. It's just something when I'm watching him, I'm like, yep, he reminds me of that guy. Not something like, oh, who would I compare him to? I don't do that anymore. So the 2 guys that immediately stood out to me on film that he reminded me of are potentially 2 Hall of Famers. We'll see what ends up happening with the first one. Tristan Wirfs. You could argue he's the best offensive tackle in football, at least one of them. He's up there. He played right tackle. Okay, he played right tackle at Iowa. He played right tackle at the next level in the NFL, and then he moved over to left tackle after Donovan Smith left the Buccaneers. So there's an example. And, of course, Hall of Fame, one of the greatest offensive tackles who ever lived, Jonathan Ogden. Okay, Jonathan Ogden played for the Ravens. He was absolutely outstanding. He had that mean streak. He was powerful as all hell. He reminds me of both those guys, like a combination. Doesn't mean he will be those guys. Let's not go back to, if you guys know the meme with David Montgomery, they're like, yeah, a little bit of Saquon Barkley here and LaDainian Tomlinson here and Adrian Peterson. No, we're not doing that. But he reminds me of Wirfs and he reminds me of Ogden. And man, I used to love watching Ogden block, even when I was younger. And I understand maybe I didn't pick up on football the way I do now, but Ogden was just different, man. Him, Pace, Walter Jones, Willie Roaf. I mean, those guys were just incredible. So here's the deal, folks. I think Fuaga is 100% worth a top 15 draft selection. I think he could go much higher than that. It's a class that has struggling run blockers at tackle, and Fuaga is just absolutely the best run blocker in this class. So I think it adds more to him. Wouldn't be surprised if he went as high as the top 5. I think he's really that good. The question remains, though, a guy like Alt, who plays left tackle, and a guy like Fashanu, who plays left tackle, those guys are going to be more coveted, I think, because of the fact they can play left tackle. That is the blind side for every quarterback except for Tua Tagovailoa right now. Okay, so that's important. That is important. Penix, we'll see what ends up happening there, but that is important that for the most part, your left tackle is your blind side. Unless you're Tua Tagovailoa, then your right tackle is just as important as your left. So I'll say this, for the Rams, if they want him, if they want to go out and get him, they will have to trade up. And I'll say this, in a draft that I don't feel like has as much depth as past drafts, this to me would be worth it. If you think Fuaga is just going to absolutely kill it, you've had the pre-draft, visit, you've talked to him, you've said, hey, look, we have our right tackle right now in Rob Havenstein, and if you really wanted to play over there, we could put you over there after Havenstein retires, but as long as you're cool playing left tackle for us in LA and protecting Matthew Stafford's blind side, and you think you can do it, we're going to make this pick. If that happens, I think the Rams really need to consider doing that. Now, there's Fashanu. Fuaga, to me, fits the Rams like a glove because he's like an extension of what Steve Avila brings to the table, but now you have that pass protection at left tackle. You have just that pure dominance. I think Avila is so good in the run game, and he's only going to get better, and I think that's kind of what you're looking at with Fuaga. And the same thing, Avila only gave up like 1 sack and like 1,000 snaps in pass pro. So I look at Fuaga as somebody that could be like an extension of that level of play. And as we saw last year, the Rams changed up how, really they look at the offensive line. They changed up their archetypes a little bit. When they drafted Steve Avila, that didn't feel like a guy that they were going to draft. It didn't feel like a guy that fit their current, tactician, 300 to 310 pound guy. They went out and got a beefier guard / center. So I think with Fuaga, it kind of fits what they're looking at here. And I'll just say this, man, if they get him, he is going to play left tackle for them, and he is going to be a bookend franchise tackle. You can put your money on it. And this is like last year's draft. I don't know if I would have traded up because last year's draft had so much depth. You talk about all over the place. You wanted guys in the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh. There were so many talented prospects. It's not to say this draft isn't talented. There's just not as much depth as in the past. We see a lot of top heavy talent, right? A lot of these positions are top heavy, like the video I just talked about with BPA over need. To me, this is one of those guys where if he's number 1 on your board and he falls to say pick 8 and you already have that familiarity with Raheem Morris and the Falcons and you put together a nice little trade package for the Falcons, this is the trade to move up. How funny would it be if the Rams sent the Raheem Morris pick to Raheem Morris? That would be kind of funny. If he falls out of the top 10, I think I'd be upset if the Rams didn't try and make a trade up for him. Now, I understand there are people saying you need corner, you need edge, you need this, you need that. We still need to see how free agency goes. There are plenty of corners you can get in free agency this year, and there are plenty of edge defenders you can get in free agency this year. But one thing that this league does not have a surplus of are tackles. So, Alaric Jackson likely will be back. $4.8 million, second round tender if they tender him RFA. But keep in mind, Fuaga would be different. Like this is an elite prospect, but I'll get into the grade. So my grade here, 9.7 agility out of 10. 8.9 pass protection, 9.7 run blocking, 9.5 spatial movement, 9.4 pull/trap, 9.5 play strength, 9.1 technique, 9.5 size, 9.3 awareness, and 9.3 balance, coming out to a total grade of 93.9 out of 100. This is my number 1 player so far with my fully graded offensive tackles. And I'll tell you this right now, with PFF, they have him as the number 1 run block grade. They give him the tied for 36th in pass block grade, second overall grade for tackles, 22 pressures allowed and 657 pass protection snaps, 0 sacks, doesn't know what it's like to give up a sack, tied for 36th in pass blocking efficiency. He is a junior. This is a young player that is only going to get better, and he's already so very good. So when I look at Fuaga, this is the type of move you make. This is like getting an Orlando Pace, okay? May not be on the level of Orlando Pace because he's one of the greatest tackle prospects ever, but my point is Orlando Pace was that building block. He was that last piece for the greatest show on turf, whether people realize it or not. I know they got guys after Pace, but Pace was that really important piece there at left tackle to protect Kurt Warner, Trent Green initially, but Kurt Warner. They brought in Marshall Faulk. You already had Isaac Bruce. To me, you bring in a guy like Fuaga, and you already have Avila, and you have Havenstein. Who knows if you bring back Dotson and Coleman Shelton, but that would look like one hell of an offensive line if you were able to bag Fuaga in this draft. So is he going to fall to 19? He's absolutely not going to fall to 19, but I think you should be very interested in the idea of trading up for a player like this because they don't always come around often. And I'll say this, with Fuaga, Alt, and Fashanu, you're probably not going to see a class at tackle that has those guys, Latham, Mims, Morgan, Pooney, Fatanu. I mean, you're not going to find a tackle class like this every single year. This is more of a rare, very, very deep tackle class that I think the Rams definitely need to get their mitts on. So that's what I will say about that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also follow me at JK Bogan. Do you want the Rams to trade up for Taliese Fuaga, who I give a top 15 grade on? Let me know in the comments section below. But again, I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, folks.